What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm very excited to share a topic I'm very passionate about, and that is how to specifically orchestrate a Broadway Disney style sound into your arrangements. And this is obviously an orchestral type of video because, you know, I love doing orchestral stuff, and doing this type of thing is really one of my favorites because I was always inspired by Disney music growing up, and listening to musical theater style songs has always given me like chills, especially ones that are really well arranged and have beautiful melodies and harmonies. So I really wanted to put together a song, you know, arrangement that kind of channels that influence and that love into a particular song. So before we really dive too deep, I want to give you something absolutely free as a gift for watching this video, and it's my free guide called Write Music in the Style of Disney and Nintendo. And true to its name, it really is some specifically hand-picked songs that I really love from Disney and Nintendo. And we kind of dive in and analyze the theory behind it, the orchestration behind it, and kind of look at what makes those pieces of music sound so good. And if you're interested in writing in this particular style of like Broadway, or, you know, making your music more expansive, I do want to give that to you as a free guide, and I think it'll really help you. So it's the first link in the description box if you want to check that out. I think it'll be really helpful. And yeah, it's just my gift to you for watching this video. And the second thing I want to tell you before we get into this is I'm finally launching my new course called Behind the Album Freedom. So if you're not aware, I just recently released my debut album called Freedom. And it basically contains a whole bunch of songs inspired by like Disney and also pop and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's like a start to finish look into how I put that album together. And not only do I talk about the process of writing an album and how I basically ordered the tracks and the theming and everything like that, but I also talk about the lyrics and the story and message behind every single song and how it all works together. Plus, we take a look at the arrangement, the production, and the orchestration behind every single song, which includes this song once again, by the way. But we dive in and take a look at how everything was produced, arranged, layered, and everything like that, and wrap it all up very nicely. So if you're interested in taking a look behind the process and learning how, you know, I basically arranged everything from start to finish, put all the songs together, and learn, you know, take a look at the messaging and everything like that, it's also in the description box below, and it's available this week if you want to check it out. And yeah, I just want to offer it to you if you want to go deeper there. But let's dive into today's topic, and that is about how to actually, you know, orchestrate a kind of a lush and big sound. And the way I like to do it is very simple. The mentality behind it is super simple. And the way I do it is I think start with the strings as the foundation. You know, the string section have such a timeless quality to them, a timeless sound, and it's one that you really can't get away from, to be honest. Like in nearly every single musical genre that's, you know, I guess mainstream or popular, in some ways you will have the strings, right? Like in R&B, you'll have kind of like short strings, and like disco, you'll have kind of string patterns and stuff. And of course, in more cinematic music, the strings will play more sustains and things like that. But if we're talking about strictly like musical theater style and, you know, a little more classical in nature, then yeah, the strings absolutely play a foundational role in the arrangement, right? So after you realize this and you build up your string foundation, then you can stack stuff on top. And I'll talk about that in a second, but let me just play the very intro of this song for you here, and I'll just solo up the strings so you can hear what they sound like on their own first. So here's the intro. Right? And you'll notice that just with the strings on their own, you can really hear the harmonic information. You can really tell what the root notes are. You can identify the chords and their qualities. Like, this is what I'm saying when it comes to treating the strings as that foundation, because if the core elements, like if you're building a house and it's set up properly, then when you're adding everything on top, it makes more sense to make it more elaborate, right? But you can't really do that without having your foundation set first. So as particularly in this style, you want to make sure your strings are there. Very quickly, just so you know, the violins 1, 2, and the violins passion here are kind of like layered together. Specifically, the violins passion and the violins 1 are basically playing the same thing. They're just from different libraries. But the violins 2 is kind of playing a harmonic role to the violins 1. If we take a look here, just zoom in a little bit. right? So you can see they're pretty similar there. Then the violas are kind of in the middle here, playing some more lines. The violas and the celli are kind of going down along with it. So a lot of parallel motion in this way. But then they kind of all settle down together. So if we just take a look at violins 1 and 2, you see they look they're pretty much going in the same direction. Add in the violas there. They go down another, like, you know, third, fourth, and fifth. You go down again. Here's the cello 1, cello 2, right? It goes even lower. I just brought in like 2 cello patches for like divisi purposes. And then the violin's passion is an additional line on the top. That's the main melody there. So you can see just in this, let me just play it again. It's creating those fuller chords, right? You have the root, you have the third, the fifth, the seventh, you have the flat 9 in there, and then you have the regular 1 chord, right? Alternating with the 4 chord. So on top of that, then you can add some other stuff to it once you have that foundation set. In this case, I had the horn at the very end of the intro, which sounds like this. Right, it just has an additional line there. So let me play from the F chord. It makes it sound a little bit more romantic, right? It just pulls you in a little bit closer, which I really like. And then the piano is kind of the foundation of this song. So I brought it in right when that F chord hits, because this is the main hook. Right? And then after that, you know, I brought in the woodwinds. So the woodwinds are really beautiful because they add an additional like layer of lightness and character to the overall arrangement. And specifically the flute, I'd love to layer with the violins. So that kind of sounds like this. You hear the flute's kind of quiet, but layered with the violin's passion line on top, it makes it slightly more airy. And then we have the oboe as well. That's also layering with the flute as well. And then the bassoon is in harmony with the other two. You know, that's kind of going with one of the cello or one of the cello lines, right? It's kind of doubling one of those. Right? And then I have a little bit of percussion, so I have the timpani, bass drum, and cymbals. Roll into the downbeat. And the cymbal is a very, very soft kind of crash, but it just emphasizes the entrance of the piano going into verse 1, which is really cool to me. And then finally, I have some choir, and that just lightens it up even more, a more human element. You can barely hear it, but it's very, very quiet. So it's just playing. Right, just kind of playing in that middle register there between C3 and C4 just to beef it up a little bit more. But the whole concept of, you know, just making sure your strings are laid down first, because that really is the core element of the orchestra, and then adding your other stuff on top, like some woodwinds to double the strings or maybe play in harmony, and then the, you know, additional brass you can use as well for sure. Maybe I can show you one more section here. I'll go into the second verse here. So this is when my part comes in, the male lead. And if you want to hear the full song, by the way, definitely check out once again on the YouTube channel. But, you know, for the purposes of this tutorial, I just want to show you the orchestral arrangement here. But you'll notice throughout refrain 1 here, it's very bare, which gives a lot of room for the vocalist to sing. I'll put that in.
How would it feel if we knew this wasn't the end?
Right, she has a lot of gap. She has a lot of space. The piano's the main harmonic element here. Working with the horn in the bottom, with the bassoon and oboe as well. And then the flute comes back in. Little lighter. And then the strings come in. Tremolo. And the percussion you hear there as well. Horn takes a larger role here. Oboe response right there. Now the flute and the oboe are working together. Add in the bassoon. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So generally, just look at this from the verse 2 all the way to the end of the refrain 3. The main element here really is the string element, the string parts. So you have the two violin sections, you have the two you have the violas over here, you have the two cello parts here, then you have an additional violin on top, and down here I also have the basses over here. They're all green here because I kind of came up with these elements first, and then I started adding stuff on the top of the arrangement just to polish it up a little bit more. So I just didn't color code those, but you get the idea there. And then after that, I only have like 2 brass tracks. I have one French horn, and then I also have one horn pad patch from Cinebrass. And this is like basically playing ponophonically, like 2 voices at the same time to just beef up the arrangement a little bit more, filling in the holes where the strings couldn't fill up because there's only 5 voices there, right? And then the woodwinds, again, are just providing additional color. Again, I'm not using too many here because they all have their own individual qualities, which I do want to show in the arrangement. I don't want them to just be like buried or, whatever in the arrangement. I want them to show and shine. So the flute, the oboe, the bassoon, they all have very different timbres and very different applications in the orchestra. So I like to show them off a little bit in my music as well. And then we have the timpani, that's the tuned bass drum, you can call it, that kind of role, emphasizing the harmonic hits. So that's pretty common in, in any orchestral setting, really. Bass drum for the impact, cymbals and tubular bells, those give us kind of the high end, which is really nice. Choir for additional texture, right? Claps, hi hits. This is the percussion pattern down here with the heavy perk. These are just all additional things. But the core orchestral sound of the Broadway style is just making sure you have your strings laid down first, make sure you know how to arrange them. And you can check out one of my tutorials for that, the string arranging tutorials. And then you can add your other elements on top to fill in the rest of the gaps or to just add extra texture. So that's the way I like to personally approach arranging kind of a Broadway musical theater style song. Is I always work from the strings first to build that foundation, make sure I know where those limits are, where the lowest notes of the basses and where the highest notes of the violins. And after I know that, I can fill in the rest of the gaps in the middle, right? And then I can throw in the other instruments like the brass, the woodwinds, the percussion, whatever, because everything is a color palette. Like everything is just contributing another color, another texture to the overall arrangement, which, makes it sound really lovely. So it all comes with experience, I think, in a way as well. Like you just have to create more arrangements and just work more and more in the styles you like and experiment to really see how it all fits together. But I hope this kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of how I like to arrange this style of music. And if you have any questions about the process whatsoever, please feel free to leave them as a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. You can let me know what you think. And if you want to dive a little deeper and learn about, some of the classic songs like from Disney and Nintendo that I personally really enjoy and analyze them, see how they all work, feel free to download my guide called, Write in the Style of Disney and Nintendo. It's a free gift. I want you to download it because this is the style of music that I really like to write in and use. So kind of learning how those chords kind of work together and the progressions that they like to use can open our eyes to such beautiful discoveries harmonically and melodically. So it's totally free if you want to download that. And of course, I've just launched my Behind the Album Freedom course where, not in addition to this song, I've talked about 11 other songs, like how I arranged and orchestrated them from start to finish, also the lyrics and the message behind every song, and how I put the entire thing together all in one package. So it's a very affordable price right now if you check it out. And let me know if you have any questions about that as well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you and see you in the next video. Have a great one. Bye-bye.